Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching Africa 360. This week we're in conversation with Lira. Lira, before we went to break, you were telling us about this movement that you envisage artists in Africa leading and you being at the forefront of this. But one of the interesting things about the continent is that African musicians have found this way of unifying people from West Africa, Southern Africa, East Africa, and all over the place, simply through music. That's quite amazing. And in fact, you've performed in Nigeria, Kenya, and in many other parts of the African continent. Is that correct?
That's correct. You know, music has that power to just transcend race, language, all kinds of barriers. It's beautiful. It's a powerful tool in that sense. And I've had a great pleasure. I've been in Benin, Ghana, Nigeria, Zambia, Mozambique, I think almost all of sub-Saharan Africa. So it's just been incredible.
Now, in actual fact, what you've actually done is taking it even further. You are currently an ambassador for a project being run in conjunction with the Southern Africa Trust known as Change Forever campaign. Right. And now that's an amazing initiative. Tell us a bit about that.
There's plenty of things that I do in my own capacity, but when I got exposed to the Change Forever campaign that's run by the Southern Africa Trust, I think this was in 2008, it was ages ago. And I first got introduced to the concept, and there was a whole bunch of us celebrities really, you know, who resonated with the campaign. And it's simply us. If you could change one thing forever, what would it be? So now it places the responsibility in each of our hands, because essentially everyone is in a position where they can become an influence and cause a change. You don't have to be a Patrice Motsepe, you don't have to be a Lira, you can be anyone. And my question, I even take it further and say, do what you can with what you have where you are right now. Because everyone can do something. And you can look around and cause that change. And so if every one of us does a little bit of something, then it kind of spreads. And I almost feel like if one person does their best, then you might influence 100. And sometimes if you're a person of a slightly higher profile, you might influence tens and thousands. But it's important, I think, it's a good balance to always take that opportunity to just create that change. So through the Change Forever campaign, we invite people to SMS their answer to the question, if you could change one thing forever, what would it be? We invite people to SMS their answers to 40061.
40061, and we'll
right.
certainly have that up on our screens.
Can you open your eyes right now? See the world in a brand new way. Can you open your heart right now?
One of the interesting things about your engagement in this campaign is the fact that you are trying to eradicate poverty in urban communities by encouraging youths to get involved in something as simple as subsistence agriculture.
You know, I just think there's plenty of unique ways. For example, in Durban, at the City Hall, we visited the mayor, and all the gardens around the City Hall, they've turned them into food gardens. And they supply some of the health centers and aid centers in the vicinity. I thought, how brilliant. And that's just another innovative way where ordinary South Africans are using what's available to them to create a change. And then we moved to Khayelitsha. Now this blew my mind. There's sand there in Khayelitsha. The sand is like beach sand, so it's not very fertile. So those are some of the challenges that they have. But you have never seen such a beautiful garden. They've got a great piece of land, and they've sectioned it and allocated it to different households. They get enough out of there to sustain themselves and sell to schools, including Woolworths.
Wow.
Powerful stuff.
Now, the interesting thing about the continent is that, you know, we import all this food, we suffer from famine. Just recently, we saw in Somalia those terrible pictures of, you know, children, distended bellies, suffering from kwashiorkor and those ill effects. What do you think we should be doing as Africans to really push our leaders to focus on these basic things, what should we be saying?
My opinion is that we can be those leaders. We shouldn't wait for external aid all the time. Africa can really come to Africa's aid. You know, I just feel like a lot of us aren't engaging, and we have the capability to, you know, and sometimes we just need vehicles of ensuring that our aid reaches, and the Change Forever campaign is one such vehicle. We support like 180 organizations because we've got to become a network, obviously, that supports, it's one supporting another and another. Yes. So it's one thing, you know, looking for aid all over the place. I just feel like it's one thing feeling like, oh, it's so-and-so's responsibility, that leader. And that. I just feel they'll also be encouraged if we also do our bit. I don't want to wait for somebody else to fix it. I'm inviting you to join us because we're already in the process where we are seeing sustainable change. It's also about that. Change needs to be sustainable. I'm less a fan of things that are sort of, we kind of help people now and they don't know what they... Yeah,
kind of effect.
I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that. We need lasting, and that's why we call it Change Forever, like lasting effects to eradicating poverty throughout the continent. So.
Well, you heard it. Lira has begun, or is beginning to be, the change that she wants. Tell us if you are going to start to be the change that you want on the African continent.